6'4 Army or 6'4 Training Systems users. The Competitor CrossFit training program coming up is a 10-week training cycle, and it is called the Admiral cycle. This is the final training program that's in compilation to what we've built out since August last year. Essentially, this is week 1 of the CrossFit Open, and it will go right through to the end of the individual semi-finals that are held in person. So the dates for this one is February 24th, and it'll carry on through May 4th. There are many things that are happening in between that. You have the CrossFit Open, you have age group qualifiers, you have the in-affiliate individual semifinals, team semifinals. We will also cover the World Fitness Project timeline as well. So from March 19th to March 25th, that is all within our calendar. This whole training cycle is malleable and there to prepare you to be as efficient as you can be at all stages of those competitions, whatever it is that you choose to do. And let's say it's like the CrossFit Open, you have your timeline from Friday till Tuesday to do that, the window, and you want to do a couple of repeats, etc. This will also have guides in there to help you train in and amongst those things and make sure that we're not beating down on the body when our best performances are wanting to be in said competitions. Basically, this is what you've been working towards. If you're in the sport of fitness, now how cool is it that we get another opportunity to expose or expand our potential fitness within the World Fitness Project and the CrossFit Games Open. So this is basically an allowance for both of those pathways to be built one and the same. Again, this is called the Admiral cycle. Some of the focuses that we are looking at here, and you can read through all of our details and graphics, tiles, images, etc. I'll gloss over them really quickly before we get into a breakdown of kind of day-to-day outputs or what that may look like. We have CrossFit specific work. So if you're in the sport of fitness, obviously there are movements that probably don't get done so much as if you were in a CrossFit gym, particularly combinations like thruster, chest to bar, and wall walks, double unders into handstand walk, dumbbell alternating snatches with rowing. All of these little combinations that we're looking to sharpen and refine the tools on. Bench press, whether it be a dumbbell bench press and a barbell bench press, and we've accumulated that into a different style here with odd strength conditioning or odd object strength conditioning. So look for nice little combinations and couplets there. Muscular endurance overload, not so much just getting in doing 5 sets of 5 on the bench press. So some pretty cool nuances there for your bench press, and just to spice it up a little bit. Most of, if not all of our metcons are in qualifier standards. It's something that you'll typically see in a 5 workout breakdown across the qualifier. So we're going to look at short, sharp, fast stuff. We're going to look at the time domain between 8 to 12 minutes. We're really trying to condense some speed work down, increase cadences, a lot of EMOM work, really just to kind of nail that capacity of a qualifier standard. As always, accessory work, whether that be unilateral lower body, unilateral upper body, lateral chain work, midline core development, all of these things, and harp on it about it time and time again. It's a really good chance for us to slow down and use that brain to muscle connection movements. Some of the things that's not the fancy high output stuff, but it's the really kind of the fine-tuning stuff that's going to be allowing your car to keep being used day to day. One of the primary skills that we are working on in this training block is the handstand walk. So you're going to be doing a ton of handstand walking as a standalone skill work. Look to be doing obstacles and building that kind of pathway that you're going to be seeing at the next stage of competition. Grunt work, a special piece, standalone piece, grunt work, it just cannot be overlooked. Look, if you want to really be your best version in fitness, this has to be a staple at least once a week in your diet, where you're just getting on a machine and blasting box step overs, burpees, something that just is brain numbing. It's difficult, but you can sustain an aerobic threshold, an anaerobic threshold window of kind of 8 to 10 minutes throughout. Lots of running optional sessions here. Yes, there are a couple of run sessions built in, but if you're able to add these additional 1 to 2 run sessions, and it's not something you have to think too much about, it's programmed, it's there for you. It's really going to allow you to build your aerobic energy system, and it's going to pay dividends when it comes to doing those longer pieces. It's going to pay dividends when it comes to recovery work. It's going to pay dividends when it comes to oxygen utilization and clearing metabolite from the body. If you are looking at adding an extra training session in a week, unless you haven't just got a skill altogether and you need to really develop that, cool. That should be the highest priority. You don't want to get through a workout that goes 60, 50, 30, 20, and then 10 ring muscle ups, and you get to the ring muscle ups first and you can't do one. Of course, I want to be spending 15 minutes twice per week on my ring muscle ups. However, if you do have a threshold of every single movement in the tool belt, Add in running sessions. You will not regret it 6 months, 12 months, 18 months time. Some of the strength work that we're looking at: push press, overhead squat, just a standard back squat with 5x5, barbell cycling conditioning. Remember that this is typically CrossFit where you will find this work alone, and if you haven't trained it, it will showcase itself or rear its head when it's needed. So make sure that if you're wanting to be a competitor, or if you're wanting to be your best self within like a mixed modal training realm, a barbell cycling conditioning piece is something that just has to be there. A ton of weakness work. So on a Wednesday, we will be looking at the split jerk from a rack. But before that, as a secondary portion to our warm-up, weakness work. We'll get through our warm-up, and then you'll have a selection of up to 30 different options of do this thing based on what your week is at. And look, it could be 30 to 50 strict handstand push-ups. It might be 50 to 100 bar-facing burpees. It might be 50 burpee box jump overs. It might be 100 wall balls. It's something it's not gonna break your bank. It's gonna take you anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes, but it's something that's gonna be valuable. And if it's not programmed, then when will you do it? So these are suggestibles. And my biggest suggestion from there is also not choosing something different every single week. Maybe you can cycle through 1, 2, maximum 3 across 10 weeks, but really just look to be repetitive on the same thing and grow one thing at a time. Otherwise, you're gonna try pour heaps of water into so many different buckets, they'll all only get this big. Let's fill a bucket. So remember, this is a 10-week training block. February 24th, it will start with the first week of the Open. It'll run 3 weeks of the Open. You've got your age group semifinal somewhere in the middle. And in week 10, it will complete at the individual semifinals. So that's always the North Star for a program around this time of year. As a day-to-day outlook on what we're gonna break down, on a Monday, mixed modal intervals, some leg conditioning. So we've done all of our heavy 1RM true strength stuff. Now it's time to really get some top end capacity work in, you know, moving 70s and 80% for a moderate amount of volume, but higher intensities, and then also looking for recoverability, repeatability throughout these type of sets as well. Power cleans, strict presses with banded suspended weights, obviously going to offset the midline a little bit and this provide some little tricky difficulties without the movement. And then finally on that Monday, you're going to have some optional base work, whether that's odd object / skill or some engine and grunt work. So you know which lane you're in. If you're not typically performing well with engine, that's your path. If you're not typically strong enough to get, you know, the first barbell off the floor, then that's your path. On a Tuesday, we start with gymnastics development. We want to do this while we're most fresh and not have it so super compromised by the end of 2, 3 strength pieces and a Metcon to boot. So we're going to put that as priority first. Following that, we're building our deadlift and really get that top end hinge / pull mechanic happening in the middle to end of the cycle. Mixed modal intervals, accessory work, and then here's your first day of your optional run, which will be about 30 minutes long. Very, very regressed. It's not hard. Not all training has to be hard and high intensity to provide some sort of value to what the whole goal of intention is. Wednesday, we just spoke about it earlier. Starts with weakness work, split jerks, back squats, Metcon, some accessory work that supplements all of that, and then finally some extra credit. Our Thursdays have stood true the test of time. Optional / rest day, catch up session if you've missed or need to do something in the week that you're not going to be able to get to. Aerobic session, typically machines or running, and then a swim session. So either one or more of those options. Moving forward to Friday, we have CrossFit specific work. Again, we spoke about barbell thruster burpees. You can have double under wall walks. You might have ring muscle up row. Whatever combinations that typically hang in the CrossFit round, we're looking for muscular endurance, high intensity, and then decreasing rest periods as we increase the output towards the end. Bench press, odd object strength conditioning, Metcon, and it's always going to be a typical qualifier standard Metcon. Skill is our handstand walk today, grunt work, optional run. It sounds like a lot's being given. Once you read and process your way through the day's worth of training, it all makes sense. Everything is very, very intentional. The final day of the training week is a Saturday, push, press, and overhead squat for our strength modalities, and then barbell cycling conditioning. I think there's a workout in there that might be 6-minute AMRAP, barbell thrusters. Every time you break a thruster, 4 bar facing burpees. Pick the barbell up, let's get as many reps in as we can. There's snatches, there's clean and jerks, there's combinations of DT and all of those sorts of things just to increase our threshold and ability on that barbell. Metcon target time 12 minutes or less. We're trying to hang around that 9-minute marker, not get exceeding that 12 minutes. And then finally, you'll have an option to do a second session with mixed motor work and or machine work. That's a big macro view of what we're trying to entail over this next 10 weeks. It is very dominant around this CrossFit / World Fitness Project / other qualifier realm right now. This next kind of 3-month window is a big ticket item for so many of these competitors in the sport of fitness. Does this mean that if you don't compete that you can't choose to do this program and get better? Absolutely not. This program will still make you a well-rounded athlete, even fitness practitioner if you're not so much looking at competing but just getting better. It has all the tools in there to help you do that. We have movement breakdowns for every single movement. We have coach's notes for every workout, and it's something that's there to help provide a lifeline of communication for you to us in order to help guide you through your journey of your fitness. In summary, this is a 10-week training cycle, February 24th all the way to May 4th. This is at the end of a well thought out timeline since August last year. It is now where you can get your most gains in the season and then be your best self or looking to peak. Remember that the CrossFit Open now matters. If you are someone who is looking to progress, you need to be looking at putting your best foot forward there. Don't put shame and embarrassment around repeating a workout because you're trying to get your best score. Why would we do that? That's exactly what we want. If you're still unsure about this program and you need a little bit of help just to decide what's best for you, flick me a message, we'll get into contact and we'll see what we can do. I look forward to seeing you all in this competitive season.